Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we bring you an emotionally stirring chapter in the extraordinary love story between CEO James, a man often seen as cold and calculating, and Diep, the woman whose quiet resilience has weathered the fiercest storms for love. In our previous episode, an unimaginable tragedy unfolded. Diep and her young son were poisoned, not by fate, but by malice. The culprit? Tra, a woman consumed by envy and resentment. Her sinister plot came dangerously close to claiming two innocent lives. But James, acting with unwavering resolve, rushed them to the hospital just in time. During those harrowing days, James never left Diep's side. Guilt and pain clouded his eyes, the guilt of not protecting the two people he cherished most. Miraculously, both Diep and their son survived. And when they returned home, wrapped in James's love and the warmth of family, it was as if life itself had been granted anew. With each passing day, Diep's smile began to return, a gentle, luminous reminder that love can mend even the most shattered spirits. Their home, once heavy with fear, slowly began to breathe again. The laughter of their son echoed like music through its walls. And every glance, every touch shared between James and Diep spoke of deep gratitude, for life, for love, and for second chances. James made a silent vow: never again would he let harm come to the people he loved. From that moment on, something shifted, not just within James, but within the entire family. James's mother, once distant and bound by old judgments, decided to retire. She chose instead to devote herself entirely to her grandson, a gesture of atonement and of love. Her days became filled with lullabies, gentle smiles, and lovingly prepared meals. And Diep, once a daughter-in-law met with polite detachment, became something more. A daughter in every sense of the word. One morning, Diep returned to work. But she didn't stay behind a desk. Instead, she stood shoulder to shoulder with James in the field, the very region ravaged by torrential floods just days before. What they saw broke their hearts. Collapsed bridges, flattened homes, children with hollow eyes and no schools to return to. Elders left with nothing but soaked memories. In the midst of the wreckage, Diep saw a boy carrying his baby brother through the mud, their clothes soaked, their innocence robbed. She gently wiped the rain, and the tears, from their cheeks. Nearby, James spoke to an elderly man whose home had been reduced to rubble. No words could mask the anguish in his face. And as Diep joined him, he turned and whispered, "We can't just stand here. We have to do something." That same day, James took action. With Diep by his side, he met with local authorities and pledged company resources for emergency recovery, to rebuild schools, roads, and homes. As he spoke, Diep's eyes welled with tears. Not because of tragedy, but because she had never seen James more alive. Not powerful, but purposeful. Not cold, but full of heart. On their drive home, Diep whispered, "Thank you. Not just for saving me and our son, but for today. For saving a piece of my heart too." James didn't reply. He only squeezed her hand, a silent vow of protection, for her, for their son, and now, for the community. But Diep's compassion didn't end there. On her days off, she would rise early to pick fruits from their garden, selling them quietly in the local market. She waded into fields to gather snails, wearing her conical hat, never seeking praise. When asked why a CEO's wife, a woman still recovering from a traumatic attack, would humble herself like this, she simply smiled and said, "If it means one more child gets a notebook, or one more elder doesn't go hungry, it's worth it." Every coin she earned was added to the relief fund. No fanfare, no headlines, just a quiet candle of hope in dark times. James, a man used to signing multi-million-dollar deals, stood speechless one day watching her. And his mother, once adorned in diamonds and designer handbags, felt something awaken within her. One afternoon, she opened her wardrobe and carefully packed away her most prized possessions, a limited edition handbag, a diamond-studded necklace, a watch James had given her. Turning to him, she said, "I thought I had lived a decent life. But now, I want to live a meaningful one." Together, 3 generations, 3 hearts, they gave not through foundations or PR campaigns, but through their own hands and hearts. They walked through the mud. James, sleeves rolled and trousers soaked, knelt to hand envelopes to farmers who had lost everything. Diep sat with children, telling stories, handing out notebooks and homemade cakes. James's mother comforted grandmothers like an old friend, sharing medicine and gentle warmth. They gave, not as benefactors, but as neighbors. And what they received in return were not thanks, but tears. The kind that said, "You reminded me I'm not forgotten." One family invited them to share a simple village meal, fish, vegetables, plain rice, under a thatched roof. For James's mother, it was the first time she sat beneath open skies, surrounded by the song of crickets and the scent of dry straw. And yet, it brought her the deepest peace she'd ever known. That night, no words were spoken. None were needed. They had given love, not measured in money, but in presence. And in return, they had found something priceless. But just as peace began to settle, fate struck again. A late-night call shattered the quiet. A new flood had swept through the western region. James's factory, his timber forest, destroyed. Entire livelihoods washed away. The work of a lifetime gone in hours. James sat beneath the porch light, motionless, staring into the rising storm. Not just in the sky, but within. But then Diep placed her hand gently on his shoulder. Her eyes didn't reflect panic, only strength. No matter what happens, she whispered, we'll get through it. Together. And in that moment, James understood. The real fortune he had built wasn't in timber or factories. It was in the people beside him, a mother reborn in compassion, a wife unwavering in kindness, and a child whose laughter filled even the darkest night with light.